What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Salud Cabrones podcast. I am Danny Viegas.
And I am still Javier Ledesma, not to be confused with Jaime.
Jaime Ledesma.
That's a different guy.
That's a different guy.
That's a completely different guy.
That's a different guy. Sammy, we're never going to let that down, bro.
Nope. Definitely not, Sammy. Definitely not.
Before we get started, we ask you to like, comment, subscribe, and share the Salud Cabrones podcast with Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube, and follow us on all social media platforms at Salud Cabrones Podcast. And we want to give a big special shout out to our sponsors, the Law Office of Christopher Hoff and the Taco Villa in Villa Park. Big shout out to Chris and Bear Mysterio. Appreciate y'all, fellas.
I was talking about Bear in the last episode, talking about how he was sad because the Bears weren't doing great, but now they flipped it around.
They flipped it around, bro. You know he's enjoying it.
Oh, right now he's like making sure that nail polish is extra shiny and everything, dude.
Bro, he's drinking hard right now, bro. He's putting on that third coat of nail polish.
I wonder how he feels like waking up to the news about Cutler today.
Yeah,
you heard about that, right?
Yeah,
Him and
rough.
his like.
That was rough. Yeah, man.
It's like out there holding guns and being drunk while driving. I'm sure he's like, whatever. He's not associated with us anymore.
I saw a meme that said they showed his mugshot and it says, "This is what the Chicago Bears did to him." But no, bro. This is we have a very special guest with us today, man, on this beautiful Friday evening.
Danny, you always do the introductions. Allow me to do the introduction today.
What? Are you actually going to do the introduction?
I'm going to do the introduction today.
You're actually going to do the work today? Damn.
I guess I don't have to carry you throughout the episode. I just took the one thing that you do during the show. I guess this is going to be a 100% hobby show
man,
today.
it's finally going to relieve that pain out of my back, man. All right. That's what I'm talking about. Go ahead,
We
man.
have an insanely special guest joining us here today.
Who do we got?
The owner, founder, proprietor of Brookfield's very own Beach Ave BBQ. We have the man, Juan motherfucking Silva, in the house.
Juan Silva.
Wow, man.
What's up, Juan?
Thank you for that introduction. That's probably the best introduction I've ever had.
You finally
This is how it feels like,
there
Danny.
You see what I mean?
All right, I think I'm going to do the introduction from now on.
See, how does it feel, bro? It feels good, right?
Great, dude.
Yeah.
Me siento todo pinche pitudo right now.
You feel pitudo right now, don't you?
Pinche mandingo.
Yeah, bro.
Danny usually does the introductions, man.
Okay.
Man, this is what it feels like, dude. My chest is all puffed up right now.
And that's usually what I get, man. Damn, bro, that's a great ass introduction, man. Made me feel good. Now he got it. Now he's like, man, see, you take pride in that shit, right?
Dude, when he does these introductions, a lot of people, they're always like, damn, what the fuck? Especially like actors.
Yeah.
They always go, fuck, because he rattles off like almost their entire like history of what they've done. And then he goes, man, I forgot I even was in that. Man, you need to follow me around and just introduce me into every room I walk into.
That's what I was about to say. When I make it big, I'm going to have you introduce me. You're going to be my hype man.
There you go, bro. Man, thank you for joining us today, bro.
No,
How
thank
you
you for having
feeling?
me.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Just take life one day at a time. That's my new motto in life right now.
I think that's all we can do, man. Just take life one day at a time, bro. You know, yeah, I've learned that too, man. No need to sweat the little bullshit, in life that people make a big deal out of. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, but like Javier said, you are a business owner. Was it barbecue? What's it called?
Beach
Beach
Avenue
Avenue Barbecue.
Beach Avenue Barbecue, bro.
Yeah.
Man, Latino owned. That's fucking
Yes,
what's
sir.
up
Yes,
right
sir.
there, bro.
Yes, sir.
Brookfield, brother.
Yeah.
When I first met you, I remember thinking to myself, I'm walking into this bar. It said a bar, but I didn't know what I was walking into. For anybody that doesn't know, I sell beer for a living, and this is how I met Juan for the first time. So I walk into Beach Avenue Barbecue, and I asked for the owner, and he's like, "It's me," and I smiled from ear to ear, because I was like, you walk into a barbecue restaurant, you're expecting not a Latino to own it,
Right.
So when I walked in, I was like, nah, this guy's not. No mames.
Yeah, bro.
And
Get the
he's
real
like-
owner, bro. Come on, cut it out, okay?
I'm like, all right, bro. I'm done. I'm done talking to the chef here. Come on, bring the owner. But no, he's all like, no, this is my place. This and that. We started talking beer and whatnot, and I was just like extremely like happy. It was like a certain relief to like walk in there. Not that I don't enjoy talking to anyone else, but there was something kind of cool about that concept of walking in to a Latino-owned barbecue restaurant. Is not something that I see every day.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite things about your place was that you add a little bit of Latino flair to the usual barbecue style food. You walk in there. I think over the years since I've known you, I've seen you sell mole there.
Yeah.
Like I've seen you sell like Mexican style chile. Just like a bunch of different cool things that are not your typical flavor of a traditional barbecue restaurant.
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought that was really, really awesome, and happens to be the place where I buy my dog his smoked pig ears.
Yeah, yeah.
You get your dog his own barbecue.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you got to.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you sell barbecue dog food there?
We do smoked pig ears for the dogs that they're smoked in their own smoker just for the dogs.
Really?
Yeah. So we do about we sell roughly around, I would say probably around 1,500 pig ears a month. Roughly is what we go through.
Damn.
No shit.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing for you guys then.
Yeah. Because we're like. We're in Brookfield, right? Like, people love their dogs in Brookfield.
You want to Starbucks, man? Fuck your puppuccinos, man. Fuck that shit.
Fuck your puppuccinos.
Yeah, fuck your puppuccinos.
It's all about Beach Avenue
dog ears, pig ears, bro.
Yeah.
That's what we got, man.
Yeah.
That's how you do it, bro.
Yeah. We started at a farmer's market, and then we started doing the pig ears, and we're like, everybody's like, oh man, they're like, oh, I got something for me, but I got something for my dog too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I had bought I can't remember what it was, but it was like a package of like these dehydrated dog treats off of like Petco or something like that, and it came with a pig ear, and it was real thin, looked really flimsy or whatnot, and I fed it to my dog, and he threw up. He didn't like it, and so I stayed away from pig ears for a long time, and then I went in there and I found your place, and I was like, you know what? These look fresh. These look like legit. They didn't look paper thin like the one that I had fed them. So I thought, you know what? They smelled great because of the barbecue thing. And I decided to give it a shot just to kind of test the waters again. And my dog freaking loved them. Like, he knows when I walk into the house with a little paper bag, the oil's like going through the paper bag. And he knows I'm walking in there with his stuff. And he's like, oh, what's up, bro? Hook it up. He destroys those things. Like, they do not last. And he didn't throw them up. So my wife is like, I guess there you go. And so it became a thing. You know, that's kind of what I do. Like, every time I was on the route and I would stop by there, like, pig ears for the dog, man. Pig ears for the dog.
So now, you grew up in Chicago?
Yeah, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. First half of my life, kind of like Little Village area.
Okay.
Right off of, right near Petrovsky Park and Homeland and Pizza over in that area.
31st?
Yep. Yeah. Right on 30th and Trip is where I grew up.
Oh, okay.
Till I was about 10 years old.
Okay.
Then my parents are like, oh, we want a better life for you guys. Lo and behold, they move a little further south, near 51st and Kedzie over in that area. We were one of the first Mexicans on the block. And, we're like cockroaches once there's one. There's multiple. And so, it was weird because I went from a completely Mexican neighborhood, right? And you're among your culture, you're everything, right? And then you move further south, and even though it was only like 20-some blocks away, it was all white.
Mm-hmm.
With all Polish and Irish, and then we were one of the very first Mexican families to move in, and I'm like, oh, this is different. You know? So and I lived there from like being 10 years old to roughly when I was about 18 years old is when I moved out. Yeah.
So was owning a restaurant, was that always part of the plans for you?
Never, man, never. So I was one of like those kids. Growing up, I thought I wanted to be an engineer, like something with electric. I was that guy that like when something broke down, my mom, my dad, my uncles, whatever, Juan will fix it, right? So I was really good with my hands fixing like radios and little things like that, computer stuff like that. And so I always thought I wanted to go into like be an engineer or computer engineer, something like that. No, man. So barbecue was nowhere near. Didn't see that. Nowhere in my cards, at all. So, I gangbanged for a little bit. I started gangbanging when I was 13 years old. Stopped gangbanging, fully 100% stopped gangbanging. Right around my 21st birthday, stopped that.
What was sorry to interrupt? What was the reason that you started and ended? I say it because being Latino man, growing up in a little village, everyone that I knew from elementary school was either in a gang or they had a family member that was in a gang. So coming in and seeing that sort of stuff, and they all had different reasons, and not everyone happens to get out. So
Yeah.
for you to say, "Hey, I'm done," and I was done with that lifestyle, like in your early 20s, it's really freaking cool, man. The fact that you were able to just kind of say that and walk away. So how did that happen?
It was unfortunately it wasn't that easy to just say, okay, I'm done, right?
Yeah.
I guess to answer your first question, right? What got me in? So I was a straight A student. I was a straight A student from first grade all the way up to eighth grade, and I would always get on the A honor roll and all those things, right? And just like coming from a Mexican family, my dad's from Durango, my mom's from Guanajuato. I always looked for my dad to come. They would do the A honor roll assemblies, right? Like the award assemblies, right?
Yeah.
I always looked for my dad to come in through those doors, right? Because I at the end of the day, I was doing everything because I wanted to make my dad proud.
Okay.
And unfortunately, due to my dad's work and what he didn't allow him to ever come to one of my award assemblies. So he never came through that door, So I was always looking, and he never came through that door. When I went to high school, I went to Kelly High School, and I remember one day they found out that some girl saw me getting on a different bus, connecting bus. When I go back to school, and I right after lunch period, I opened up my locker. And there's all these gang signs going down and stuff like that. And I was like, man. And I turn around, and they're all right there. And they'd be like, telling me to throw stuff down from where I live. I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not a gangbanger. And they're like, no, fuck that,
And this is at 13 years old?
This is 13 years old. I'm at Kelly High School, man. And they
You're a freshman at this time?
I'm a freshman. Yeah, I'm a freshman. I'm scared out of my mind. And I get punched in the face with a lock.
Oh.
And I go down and I tell the principal, I was like, hey, let me call my mom. They're going to fuck me up after school. And he's like, no, fuck that. You got to stay in school. This is your problem. And I'm like, man. So I go back up to my locker, grab my jacket, and I'm looking out the window waiting for the bus, right? And those of you that don't know, if you go to CPS, there's no nice yellow school bus. There's a it's a CTA, public transportation. And so I look for the bus. The bus was coming. I put a security guard out the way, and I jump on the bus. And all I remember is I woke up in the hospital. They had beat me up.
No shit.
Yeah, and so then my rationality, man, at 13 years old, you're not fully developed. You don't really know. Your world comes crashing down, and you don't know how to figure things out, especially if you don't have anybody to talk to, like me. So my rationality was like, okay, I'm a neutron, and I'm getting jumped on. I might as well be one. Mm-hmm. So, I turned out, I get jumped in, get beat up, multiple times.
Beat up, then you go get beat up again,
right?
Yeah, to feel safe.
Yeah, just to feel safe, just to be to a sense of belonging, right?
Yeah.
A sense of wanting, having some protection, somebody that'll watch your back for you, right? So I get jumped in, do all that, gangbang, all that, gangbanged. Like I said, gangbanged for a while. When I was 16, I got locked up. I got locked up. Did some stuff that I'm not so proud of. Got locked up and ended up got sentenced to 2 years. Ended up doing closer to 3 years because I couldn't get my shit together.
You were in juvie?
I was in juvenile. I was in. I was 6 months at the Audi home fighting my case. And then I get sentenced to 2 years. I was like, where do I sign? I'm in. Because I like the what I had done was they were trying to try me as an adult, and it would have carried more like 10 years.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when they're like, we're gonna plead you guilty. If you agree to plead guilty, you can get sentenced to 24 months in Department of Corrections. I was like, I'm in. I was like, sign me up. My mom's like, no. And I was like, no, trust me, this is good. We're going to do this.
If you don't mind me asking, what did you do that they wanted to try you as an adult for 10 years?
I had shot 2 people, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I had shot 2 people. So I was looking at 2 counts of attempted murder.
Okay.
And then they brought it down to 9 counts of aggravated battery with a firearm.
Okay.
and pled guilty. They had sent like a social worker and a psychologist to talk to me about, see what kind of person I was, and they did some home visits and all that. They talked to even some of my teachers, man. They went back and really did some work, and then the guy came back and he's like, you're not really a bad person. I think you were just caught up in you got caught up in a situation, and so that was a blessing, man. Like when I look back at it, right, like because if they would have charged me as an adult, like Beach Avenue BBQ, everything, my kid, none of that
happened,
none of that would have happened,
right.
So yeah, so it was I get sentenced, I get sent down, and man, it seems like a day camp, bro. Like I went on more field trips being locked up.
I mean, as many field trips in school.
I went to more field trips being locked up than I ever went. Like when I was in school, and I was like, man, this is kind of fun. We had one of the places where I was locked up in they called it Valley View. They had go-karts, man. You could go go-kart racing. I had the keys to the gym room, so I was lifting weights. Yeah. Hitting pool. For Valentine's Day, they would bring the girls that were locked up in the girl prison.
He's getting conjugal visits.
He's like, can I just stay here? Fuck.
And you could
He's like, hey, you're free to go. No. Sir, you're 37. You can't be a juvenile anymore.
Yeah, they had a auto shop. There was a fence, bro. It was a fence. It was like 3-foot fence around the whole jail. There was a pool you could go swimming. They would bring McDonald's and Burger King. I was like, man, this is too easy.
And this is a jail?
This is a jail, yeah. So I remember begging the warden and my constables, everything, like, I need you to send me to maximum security. They're like, you don't know what you're asking for. I was like, this is too easy. Like, I don't mind leaving and coming back. Like, this is that easy. Like, I get to see my parents once in a while, whatever.
Wait, why did you want to go to maximum security?
Because I knew that if I stayed there, it'd be too easy. I wasn't learning a lesson. I was having fun.
Okay.
It was more like I was away at like a summer camp. That's what it felt like. So I was like, I need somewhere where I'm gonna be taught a lesson, man. Like I'm gonna be like, I don't want to ever come back here, right?
You need to know the punishment that fit the crime, basically, so to speak. Yeah. This wasn't doing the case.
No, not at all, not at all. And so, one day I'm walking, like, 'cause, you could kind of walk freely, whatever. So I was walking back to the wing. They call it. It's like a dorm. That's what it looks like. In and out privileges, it's just like easy. So I'm walking back. And they come scoop me up, and they put me in handcuffs and shackles. They're like, your wish is coming true. And I'm like, what's that? They're like, maximum security, here you go. And they put me in the hole. They get me ready to transfer me, pack up all my stuff, and they send me to IYC Joliet.
Okay.
Maximum security at the time. I get there. And there's this other guy, he was being transferred somewhere else, and he's talking shit, like, to all these other gangbangers, right? These black gangbangers and shit. Talking all kinds of shit to him, and I'm like, and he's like, hey, you gonna ride out with me? And I'm like, yeah, I got you. And, man, they pop all the doors. It's just like you see in the movies and the shows, right? They pop all the doors. They go, you hear all the doors, like, right? And then all the doors are wide open. This motherfucker runs out into the middle of the hallway talking shit. And man, all you see is like in Indiana Jones, like the ants, and you see like, choom, like, and bro, I see his eyeball.
Oh!
I see his eyeball hit my door, and I'm like, and all the black dudes, they're like, you want some of this? And I was like, nope. Lock my door back up. I was like, you can call me a pussy, you can call me whatever you want. Nope. I'm good. That was all him talking shit, not me. Right? And I'm like, what the fuck did I get myself into? Like, this is fucking bad. Like, can I go back? And so being locked up there, we're 23-1. Like, literally, I'm sitting here. I'm 17 years old now at this point, right? And I'm locked up 23 hours a day. I want to get out for one day, 1 hour a day. You get out in the yard or in the day room and stuff like that. And I was like, man, this is what it feels like to be locked up.
At that time, the girls in the go-karts didn't seem so bad, did it?
No, man. So now I was like, man, how do I go back? I don't like no more Burger King, no McDonald's, no, like straight up just eating like jail food, man. And it was rough, man. It would go up and people would be fighting all the time because a lot of these guys that were locked up were doing either juvenile life or they were doing their juvenile time before they go into adult prison. So this is like the rough of the roughest.
And how old were you at that time?
17.
17. Okay.
I'm 17, 23 hours in one, so I was like, I gotta find a way to.
Are the majority of the inmates right now with you, are they all kind of roughly the same age? Or
Yeah. So they kind of put you, they put you in a they call them wings. They call them dorms, and then each dorm had 2 wings.
Okay.
They kind of put you based on gang that you were affiliated with and race. Okay. So I was mostly with all Latinos and mostly all same gang. So they would try to do that so that there wouldn't be so many fights within the jail, right? But it was like the minute we saw each other, like walking by, like going to eat or going to school or whatever, man, it was like rumble, like just like a rumble in the garden, bro. It was just like on the way walking somewhere. Yeah, so then I figured I was like, okay, I need to get a job. If I get a job, I can get out of my cell a little bit more. So I got a job with this Greek guy. He was a painter. This fucker smoked like a chimney, bro. Like it was just like, and he was always like, he reminded me a lot of my dad. Like, you got to do it this way, or not really teaching me, but like, and if I didn't do it his way, like he would rip me a new one.
Así no, cabrón.
but in Greek, right? So I was like, what the fuck is he saying? So then I was like, oh, this ain't gonna work. So I got a job in a storage, like, so where they kept all those storage food. It was love because like we would like all the waffles, bro, the Lego Maego waffles, right? Like, so we had a little microwave. We get to eat extra food and stuff like that. But it kept me out of my cell for like an extra 6 hours a day. So did that, then I got myself into GED class. So got involved in that. Got valedictorian of my GED class.
Got valedictorian in jail, man. I didn't even know that was a thing.
It was a thing, man. Yeah, I got valedictorian of my GED class. I had to do a little speech and all that, and had my family come out and all that. I was fortunate, man, that God's favor has always been over my life. I do have to say that. I always met people that came into my life that were there for a reason, for a season in my life that helped get me through things. One of the things I remember, it was summer of '99. I was already locked up because I got locked up December of '97, and then in the summer of '99, I lost like 19 of my friends, man, that I grew up with. Like, they all got killed. Yeah, they all got killed, man, and so that made it. That was another eye opener, right? It's like, man, if I was out,
that could have been you.
That could have been me, and like, it is true what they say, like you meet your friends when you're laid up in a bed or you're locked up somewhere, right? I had only had 2 guys of all the guys that I rode with, right? 2 guys wrote me. One of them's still alive, and then one of them is the one. One of them died in that summer of '99. But when I was in Little Joliet, I met this lady. Her name was Miss Jackson. She was like my counselor. And she's like, you're really smart. You should think about doing something with your life. I was like, nah. I was like, fuck, my life is over. Fuck that. And then she was like, she's like, well, it'll help with your parole if you apply for school. And I was like, all right, fine, whatever, we'll do it, right? Anything to get paroled. And so I didn't know that she had me apply to MIT. And so, that because I always talked about how when I was little, I wanted to go into engineering or something like that. And then she brought an application one day and she's like, you got to sign this. It's for your parole. If you don't sign it, you're not going to be eligible for parole. And
you signed it,
and I signed it, and and there was an not knowing it was an application to MIT. So I go before the parole board, right? They grant me parole, and she's like, here, I have a letter for you. And I was like, what is this? And she's like, well, remember that paperwork you signed? I was like, I applied for school for you. And she's like, open it. And we open it. And, it says, congratulations, you've been accepted into MIT. And so then, I'm all excited, the full ride. It didn't cover room and board, and so I remember, you know, asking my dad for a loan, you know, and he's like, no, I'm not gonna ruin your credit. I'm not gonna ruin my credit for you.
Oh shit.
You know, he's like, I don't believe you're gonna go. And I never went, bro. And I never went. And
you never
I
went
didn't
to
go.
school?
I didn't
No
go.
shit.
I didn't go, man. I didn't go. I just took it as it wasn't in the cards for me. It wasn't what I was supposed to do, and I didn't go. You know, shortly thereafter, I met my wife. She who happened to be my little brother's teacher. All three of my little brothers. She taught all three of my little brothers.
We heard the story before the podcast went on.
Yeah.
We all got a good laugh.
Yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So
Side note, before we go on to the next subject, I like how you just touched on Miss Jackson. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson.
I am for real.
Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize a trillion times.
There's always a Miss Jackson in some of these stories, man.
Yeah.
We heard this from Poobles,
From Sammy. Yep.
We've heard it from a bunch of different people that have been on the podcast. Shout out to all the motherfucking Miss Jacksons
All
out
the
there.
Miss Jacksons out there that be looking out for the students, man.
Be looking out for, you know, the wayward souls of the world that need that guidance, man. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was saying, like, I met my wife, and, you know, growing up in the hood, right? So I grew up, I never left my hood unless I was going to go cause havoc somewhere, right? And so we live in this beautiful city, right? And I had never been downtown outside of a field trip, maybe through school or something like that, right? But I had never been downtown. So I remember I go out with my wife, right? She's not my wife at the time. We're going out, we're hanging out. She takes me to the planetarium. And there's this, and I'm over here. It's a hot ass summer day, bro. And she parks at Grant Park, and we walk our happy asses all the way to the freaking planetarium. And I'm wearing pants because, you know, I'm too hood to wear shorts back in the day. And
I know what you mean, bro. That a lot of Latinos, all of us, like no, I can't show my legs.
Yeah, yeah. And so I'm wearing jeans and a polo. Yeah, I think I'm being, you know, a little proper wearing the polo, right? And so there's this we're getting ready to leave, and there's this old lady, like she could barely open the door. She's like 90, right? And my wife's like, open the door for her. I was like, fuck that shit. I ain't opening the door for her. And she's like, because in the hood, right? Like you open the door for somebody, they're looking at you like, what the fuck do you want? What's wrong with you? Get his way.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so
I'm not giving you $1.
Right, right, exactly. That's what I was thinking. And so I'm like, she's like, open the door for her. I'm leaving your ass here. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, sorry. So I go open the door for this old little white lady, and she's like, thank you, young man. You're such a gentleman. And I'm looking around like, who the fuck? And I even remember saying, like, who the fuck is she talking to? And she patted me on the shoulder, and she's like, thank you, young man. You're a gentleman, bro. I felt like $1 million. I felt rich as hell. I was like, this is what white people must feel like.
that was your credit going up, bro.
Your credit score went up about 150 points right there, bro.
Right? I was like, oh,
I'm white approved right now.
Yeah.
But I remember after I opened the door for her, man, I was like, how do I get more of this? Because I want more of this. Like, I want to be walking around freely. I don't want to have to worry about watching my back every single second of my day. And how do I get told again, thank you? Right? Because in our culture, that's not something that...
We're never complimented, man.
Never.
In our culture, you
Never.
know, right?
Never. It's like, get chingas, get a like, you know, like something like that, right? And so I was like, man, I want more of that. And so then I signed myself up for school. I signed up myself for DeVry. I went to school, and I remember one day, like what made me get out was this part right here. I was waiting for the bus. Had a suitcase, extra books that didn't fit in my backpack, and it's sunny as hell, and it's like almost 100 degrees outside, and I'm waiting for the bus to get to the orange
jeans?
line. I was wearing jeans.
Okay.
And I'm waiting for the bus, and the boys roll up in the car, right? And they're like, where you going? I was like, I'm going to school. They're like, "Oh, you're a bitch."
So you were still part of the crew at that time?
I was still in it.
Okay.
And they're like, "Oh, you're a bitch. You think you're fucking better than us?" And I was like, "Nah, man." I was like, "I'm just trying to do something with myself, man." They're like, "Fuck you, you're a pussy," and they drove off. Like I was like, man, I was expecting they would offer me a ride, would drop you off at the Orange Line, something. And I was like, man, I got locked up. I did time, for them, Ultimately, it was my decision, right? But I was part of the crew, right? All this stuff, and it was just like, man, fuck this shit. Like, what? Why am I gonna get shot, killed, locked up again, or whatever for you motherfuckers, right? Mm-hmm. And so then I made the decision that day.
That moment.
That moment. I was like, fuck this. I was like, I'm done. So I remember I called my mom, and she's like, and I told her, I was like, Mom, I was like, today, I was like, I'm gonna drop my flags. I was like, pray for me. I'm done. And she's like, what does that mean? I was like, you know what it means. And so I get home from school. I called, on the prime code phone, call the people, like I was like, yo, my time's up, man. I was like, let those know that I'm done. And I talked to my brother, my little brother, and he's like, you don't want to do that. I was like, no, it's time. I gotta bounce. And so then you go to a meeting, main guys, right? And like, man, like you see everybody coming, right? And everybody's putting their stuff away. And I'm like, man, like longest 15 minutes of my life. Mm-hmm. And the main guy comes out. He's like, what's this I hear? I was like, man, it just ain't me anymore, man. I can't do this anymore. I'm not about that life anymore, man. I was like, I did my time. I want to try to do something with my life. They're like, that's not possible, right? And I was like, yeah, but I was like, it just ain't me, man. I feel like a fish out of water. I don't feel like this is me anymore. They go like, all right, give us a few more minutes. They go in, they have a meeting, they come out. They're like, you know what? Based on the time you've done, based on your time locked up, what you've done for the nation, all that stuff, based on who your brothers are and stuff like that.
Were your brothers part of the gang as well?
Yeah. I was the first one. I'm the oldest of four. And 3 of them have gangbanged. Two of them have gangbanged. One of them has not. One of them never had to. He could play the card, mm-hmm. But they're like, we're gonna let you walk, but if we ever catch you in this shit again, you know what's coming to you. And I was like, I got it. And man, I moved out.
So they let you just walk right out?
They let me walk out. Yeah.
No shit.
And let me walk out.
Butthole was like this big right there.
Yeah, man. No le cabía ni un palillo.
No shit.
Yeah, and I walked away, man, and I never looked back. I even went as far as like I moved out like by Midway Airport, right, and with my wife, and but I even like I would even tell my mom, if you want to see me, you gotta come over here. I was so scared of falling back in, mm-hmm. that I stayed away for like 3 years. Just stayed away, like, and that brought up some like with my younger brother, the one that wasn't anything, it brought up some resentment, him towards me, I think, because he felt like I left him, mm-hmm. But it's just I had to do what I had to do for me, mm-hmm. to better my life so that I can go back one day. And hopefully give back, and that's what I ended up doing. So so I get out the gang, right? I move to Midway Airport and like Orland Park, really well, están todos los güeros, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try and change my life around, right? But I still feel like I'm amongst different people now, right? But I still feel like a fish out of water. I feel the same way that I felt back in the hood, when I was in the hood, but I'm a fish out of water, right? So I was like, I got to find a way to get back to who I'm supposed to be. So I went back, and I had my, when I met my wife, she had a daughter. And so I came into her life when she was 1.5 years. Mm-hmm. And I've raised her ever since. So I'm daddy, and then I had a son. I have a son now. So I have a daughter my daughter's 26 and my son is 19. But went back and got involved with volunteering with the YMCA Street Intervention Program. So I did some work with them. Became a social worker. Not that I had the knowledge of school books, right? But I knew how to
Street
talk.
smart, yeah.
I had street smarts,
Yeah.
and I knew how to talk to these young men and women, right? I knew how to. You would throw a counselor into a room and then they would try to talk to these kids. They didn't know how to talk to these kids. There's nothing to communicate with. You come from Naperville or whatever, and the only knowledge you ever have of bad kids is what you learn through a book, right? As opposed to I always say like food. Food always breaks the ice, man. You could have the most hardcore motherfucker in the room, but you can bring a sandwich and you can find a way to break the ice.
That's true.
You know, and so long story short, right? Like I do that, become a social worker. At some point, my job gets threatened due to politics. I lose my job, and I had just started cooking, man. I had met this guy, mentor, friend, Pastor Victor Rodriguez. If you go into my restaurant, there's a street sign up there, and there's a picture of Pastor Victor Rodriguez. He passed away. Man, I think it's going on like 5 years now that he passed away. So he never got to see the restaurant come to fruition. But one day we were sitting around a fire pit, man, and it's all of us like guys working in a little village. That's where I was working as being a social worker. And he's like, "Are you guys happy with where you're at in your life?" And I was like, "I like it, but I don't feel like it's my calling. I feel like I like that fulfillment. I feel right, but I don't feel fulfilled at the end of the day."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Have you ever asked God for a gift?" And I was like, "Pastor Vic, that's the stupidest shit I ever heard." I remember telling him, and he's looking at me like, "Juanito," because that's how you were talking. He's like, "It's not stupid." He's like, "What do you got to lose?" And I was like, "You're right. I ain't got nothing to lose." So I'm praying like every day, man, for like 6 months. And when I see him, he's like, Pastor Vic's like, "Hey, Juanito, how's it going with the praying?" I was like, "Man, this shit ain't working." he's like, "Have you ever asked God for a gift that would benefit?" I was like, "Now you tell me that part." So I go back to the drawing board, right?
Where's the fine print and all
I
this?
was like, yeah. So I'm praying, bro, and I started waking up in the middle of the night with recipe ideas. Like, I never fired up a grill. I've never like really cooked. I'd cook here and there, but never like I've never made a dish that I was proud of, right?
Yeah.
And so we start waking up in the middle of the night. And I put these recipes. I'm like, I don't even know what spices are. I don't even know what paprika is. I don't know none of that.
We're
shit.
Latinos, bro.
I
None
know.
of our moms don't cook with that shit.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's like, black pepper. I was like, fuck is that? I was like, Mom, ¿tienes pimienta? And she's like, ¿qué chingados es pimienta? People don't understand that in our culture there is no black pepper. I guess it depends what region of Mexico you're from, right?
Yeah. But most of the season I feel that within our culinary, within our background, not necessarily the stuff that we're going to go out to the restaurants, because, yeah, they use all that stuff. But within people's homes, most of the flavors are infused through the ingredients that they're using, comes through like peppers and things like that.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily putting in the spices.
Yeah.
They're using other ingredients that are going into this meal to then give off the flavors.
Yeah.
Like, you can go upstairs. For those people that know, like, our studio is at my parents' house. You can go upstairs right now. Look through my mom's pantry. I guarantee you can't find spices there.
No, you're gonna find sal.
That's it.
Maybe comino, cumin, right?
Yeah.
And some type of Goya product, right? Right? Sazón Goya. Si es Goya, I think that's
Maybe some canela.
Oh, there you go. Some canela.
Maybe some canela. Yeah,
Maybe some canela. Maybe some cloves in case your tooth hurts or right? Oh, but that is the thing though. If we do have spices, they're not used for food. They're used for some kind of Mexican remedy.
For Mexican voodoo.
Right?
The eggs ain't used to cook, bro. They're used to
yeah. Oh, that happens in your family too.
Yeah, bro. Fucking so the fuck for the ojo and shit, bro.
Yeah. You can't look at your kids. You can't stare at your kids because te vas a dar ojo.
My favorite is like, ¿tienes aire?
Oh.
Te dio aire.
Yeah.
I was like, what? There's air everywhere.
Yeah. My dad would always get pissed at us, man, like, cause like, no te puedes bañar en la mañana y salir afuera a la calle. I was like, why not? He's like, you're gonna get sick. I was like, What you mean? I was like, white people do it all the time. She's like, pero no eres güero, eres mexicano. And I was like,
Su piel está hecha contra eso.
The Mexican body's different, okay?
yeah, it's crazy. All the
Physiology.
So then you get out, right? So as you're getting out, you said you're having these dreams or whatever about recipes and stuff like that, you know. So then what's like the first things you start making?
The very first thing I did, I made a pork shoulder.
Damn, it sounds good.
And my wife, yeah, right. I made a pork shoulder, and I gave some to my wife when she comes home from work, and she's like, "Where'd you buy this?" And I was like, "Fuck!" I was like, "I knew you were gonna say that." I recorded myself making it.
But where are you learning how to cook this?
In my backyard. So I'm just cooking from home. So I'm just cooking.
But like, are you reading the like how to cook it?
Oh, so I'm like looking up like YouTube videos and stuff like that, right? Like what is the skill set needed, or like what are the fundamentals, right? And so I'm learning that, right? I'm reading, and then I start looking at like other like YouTube videos and start seeing like all these Mexican dishes, right? I was like, how do I incorporate that into barbecue, right? How do I set myself aside from everybody else? So I start looking at the way my mom was cooking and saying, how can I make that into barbecue? So like mole, we started, we did a rib competition, and we did a chocolate mole barbecue sauce, and we took first place with that. And we won because we were completely different. I remember all the brothers were pissed off at us. They were mad. They were like, so the other thing is like, right. So to Beach Avenue Barbecue, it's Juan and Chris. So I'm Juan, and then we have Chris, who is my and he's Chinese, and so we're partners, right? And so
a Latino and
a
Chino Asian beat up the Morenos in a barbecue.
Yes,
That is great.
yes. And so they're looking at us like, what the fuck is that? What kind of sauce is that? They're all used to the traditional, right?
Yeah.
I was like, here's the thing. I was like, because we went in at it like not giving a fuck. Like, we don't give a fuck if we win. We're just here to have fun. And so that is really like what I try to do in everything, man. It's like how can I have the most amount of fun, but still deliver a quality product, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what we do, you know. And so that's what we started doing, you know. So I lost my job, all that, you know, and then I'm sitting in the back seat with my wife, trying to come up with a name for a business, and she's like, well, why don't you? She's like, Beach Avenue Barbecue. I was like, that's stupid. I was like, why would you say that? She's like, we live on Beach Avenue, pendejo. And I was like, oh, that's a good. So we were like, write it down, and I came up with all these other different names, and none of them worked out.
I always wondered why your restaurant was called that in Brookfield, because I was like, there's no Beach Avenue here.
Yeah. So it's Beach Avenue in LaGrange Park, and so when we get a lot of calls to the restaurants, I'm like, I'm on Beach. I don't find it. It was like that's why there's an address, but people, you know,
Por
pendejos, right? Yeah.
Look on Google. Type of Beach Avenue Barbecue. It'll put you right there. Bam.
Right? I don't know. I don't understand. People will call and do all kinds of things, but like the primary things that you're supposed to research, like on Google, right? Address, phone number, maybe hours, the hours that we're open, right? But they'll call the restaurant, are you open? It's like, it says it on Google, right? But, yeah. And I just started incorporating just.
Do you guys sell liquor?
We do. We sell beer and wine.
Damn it, yeah.
We're hoping to next year get our full liquor license. We love bourbon. Chris loves bourbon. I love tequila. I think it's two of the finest spirits
Right about that.
the world has to offer. And now getting to mezcal.
Those are the two I drink: tequila and bourbon.
Yeah,
That's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
starting to get into mezcal. Mezcal is another. It's not appreciated as much.
I agree. You know what's funny? Very first time I ever had mezcal was in this very room. I'll tell you guys a story. I mentioned another guy named Juan not too long ago. My buddy, we were having a party that included some adult entertainment out here. And somebody showed up with a bottle of mezcal. And up until this point in time in my life, I had drank rum, vodka, tequila, and I had just discovered whiskey. And we were in like early 20s. So I never, ever drank mezcal. And one of our buddies that used to habitually go to Mexico brought a bottle of mezcal. And he brought it in there, and he's like, "This is Mexican whiskey." That's what he described it as. And I'm thinking, I'll fucking give this shit a try. I'm like, that smoky texture. I sipped it, and I'm like, this is the most disgusting shit I've ever drank in my life. I put it down. Dude, that bottle, no one liked it. That bottle stayed in our bar down here because at one point in time, this particular area was a room my parents rented out the basement to my best friends. So I lived upstairs, and I literally came down here to see my best friends. And we had a bar in our early 20s, just sitting there. The place that we used to work at used to give us cash every day. Nice. It was like our commission. So we used to head straight to a liquor store. We're kids, man. And we're like, hell yeah, let's go buy all this shit. So we had a full bar, and that bottle of mezcal lasted there for years because no one would fucking touch it. Fast forward in my adult life, I had a mezcal cocktail. I can't remember what it was. And I thought it was fire. I was like, damn, this is amazing. I went years avoiding mezcal because I had a really bad experience at a young age. But now I have grown to have an appreciation for that. But definitely something new.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that transforms with age, right? Our palates, right? Mm-hmm. I remember when I was younger, there ain't no way I would try fish or other things, right? But now I can appreciate all those finer things, right? Like, you know, people try to tell me, like, oh, this is really good. I'm like, hell no. I was like, because you're just closed-minded. I think that's the biggest thing, right, is being closed-minded to things.
Because that's how I was before. But now, you know, my wife, she got me into, like, shrimp, sushi, stuff like that, you know.
Danny was a chicken nugget guy.
Yeah, I was. Chicken nugget guy, bro. That's it. Just ketchup only, dog. That's it.
That chicken nuggets, girl.
That's it. Now I put the ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, fucking lettuce.
Now he's like, give me some of that tartar sauce.
Give me all that shit. All of it, yeah. But no, so then, you know, you start cooking all these meals. So, you know, like Javier said earlier, like he joked about earlier, you know, as a Latino, you don't think about as a Latino owning his own barbecue joint. You know, you would think his own Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
So what was it about the barbecue food that you're like, no, I want to do this instead of the Mexican restaurant?
Well, to be 100% honest with you, it was not so much what I picked for myself. I always say that, right?
You, right?
It came to me. It's what God wanted me to do. Mm-hmm. That is, I can't come up with any other explanation for it other than this is God's purpose for my life is to feed people. Because nothing brings me bigger joy than to see you take that first bite of my food and you be like, damn, like this is fucking good, right?
This is the perfect spot for that story I told you about.
Which one?
Chili story.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
So, right now that you said that you love to see people's faces with that first look of like, oh, they're enjoying my food. One of my favorite experiences at your restaurant, I walked in one day, and there's numerous times that I walked in and you gave me food. I remember eating like a pulled pork burrito once that I was like, holy shit, this thing's amazing. He's like, hey, bro, you want to try one of my new items? I'm like, sure. I was like, damn. Stuff was great. But there was one day in particular that I always remember, and I told this story numerous times. I've had people go to your restaurant to try your chili based on this story. And the story goes, I walk in and, you know, there to talk to you about beer. And you were messing around with a new chili recipe. And you go, hey, Javi, what's going on, man? So we're talking, and you tell me, man, I'm like, what are you doing? That smells like spicy in here. And you're like, well, I've been working on a new recipe for my chili because, you know, the people here are complaining that it's not that spicy. And how dare you tell a Mexican that their stuff isn't spicy? Because that's a challenge. Mm-hmm. That's a motherfucking challenge. You're not gonna tell us some shit's not spicy and then come back the next day and expect that shit to be the same way. We're gonna make sure you regret it.
Yeah.
So in the back of my mind, I'm going like, oh, someone fucked up. So then you proceed to tell me that you took your chili recipe and you went and you added an insane amount of different kinds of peppers. You added paprika, chili powder, like all sorts of stuff. And specifically, you told me, I think you said ghost peppers. And you're like, you want to try it? And I'm over here laughing because you told me, like, los güeros, los gringos no les gustó mi chile. So I'm over here laughing, but as soon as you describe the amount of chilies that you put in there, I'm scared of this fucking chili. And I like spicy food, but I don't want to be a little bitch in front of your eyes because you just told me somebody else. So I was like, yeah, I'll fucking taste it. I'm a badass. And I'm inside going like, that's the wrong thing to do, bro. Don't taste it. This is going to be burning. So you give me this chili and give me like the meat with it, and I start eating it. I'm just like, oh my God, this thing is so hot. And I'm eating it. Delicious as hell. But it was so hot. And you're like, how's it taste? And I'm like, good, bro. And like, I just feel like the sweat building up. And I was like, holy shit, this is actually pretty fucking spicy. And then this little old lady walks in the door. And I'm eating it. And you're like, yeah, this is great. Hey, you want to try our chili? And I gave her that look like, don't fucking try it. Like, you do not want any of this. You don't want this smoke, lady. And I'm giving her, but I don't want to verbally say it, but I'm giving her those look like, run away. Just run. He's going to kill you with the spice. So she's all like, yeah, of course I want to try your chili. And I'm like, no, you stupid bitch, run. So you give her some of the chili. And she takes the first bite, and I'm over here looking at her like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for not telling you and warning you about this. And like, I can see the pain in her face. She's like, She has this look, and I was like,
I told your ass.
I told your ass with my eyes. I told you to run. I told you to run.
Didn't you see my eyes? I was like,
To this day, that is my favorite Beach Avenue barbecue story. I've told that story to a few people that they go, man, I gotta go try this chili. you
still got that chili?
Yeah. So actually, October is National Chili Month, so that chili will be out next week. We call it Only for the Brave. Yeah, that's our Only for the Brave.
I'm going to try that chili.
Yeah, so
because I really want to try it now.
Yeah, so we put in like a pound of each of the following peppers.
What kind of peppers? I'm curious.
So we go Ghost, Carolina Reaper, Scorpion, Habanero, Scotch Bonnet, Red Thai Hots.
Those are all in the chili?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Pekin, Poblano, Cascabel, Morita, Arbol, Black Pepper, Cayenne Pepper, and then all the regular bell peppers and jalapenos and serranos and stuff. And then if people fuck with me and say, "Oh, this isn't really that hot," well, then we got oils we put in, like to your bowl, to your bowl specifically.
When does this chili come out?
We'll have Only for the Brave next week.
Next week?
Yeah, next week. Wednesday through Saturday for sure. You can find
Wednesday through Saturday.
Yeah.
You want to go, Daniel?
I might have to take a drive over there on Saturday.
We'll do a podcast video straight from there eating that shit.
Dude, I know my wife definitely want to try that chili.
Yeah,
I do for sure.
And I mean, the goodness of it is that the meat base in it is brisket. So
yeah,
I mean,
so really, really good, dude.
Yeah. So
but I'm telling you, man. That poor old lady did not see that shit coming, man. I told her the story with my eyes.
I'm probably going to go take a little trip with the families over there, man.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about this chili now.
Yeah. So the
and the what you said, the pulled pork burrito.
Yeah. So a lot of things that we do at a restaurant that I guess to some people could be a little bit annoying, right? But I get bored easily, right? Like, and so every day we try to create something different, but definitely every Saturday you can find something different and new. Like, for example, this Saturday we're gonna have for the first time ever, we're gonna do brisket tamales.
Oh my god!
Right. So that'll be a one-off thing, right? So that's why I always tell people to follow us on the socials,
I like
right?
how you're doing the barbecue with the Mexican, bro.
Yeah,
yes.
you have to, bro. That's. I feel like people think of Mexican food as cheap shit, right?
Yeah.
They pull us in that same. In that same pool with Chinese food, like, right, like, you know, like fucking egg rolls and shit, right? Like, and so, like, you know, when people think about Mexican food, they think about tacos, burritos, and tortas. That's it. But there's so much more to our cuisine that can be elevated, right? And so, you know, so we try to do a lot of like different stuff, right? Like the mole, like, you know, the mole is you know, a big thing that we do, and we do our mole from scratch, you know, and so, and I think especially since my mom passed away a couple years ago, I've been really trying to relive her dishes with my touch, though, right? Because that's the one thing she never taught me how to do. She never gave me any of the recipes, because she always say, well, if I give you the recipe, then you're not going to need me anymore. And I'm like, well, okay, now you died, and now all the recipes went with you,
Gone,
right?
yeah.
Right?
Because a lot of those recipes, I've actually had this conversation with my mom. I said, like, you need to write these things down for me because they're not actually her recipes.
Right.
Everything that my mom cooks, with the exception maybe just a handful of things that she kind of learned on her own, all of that is my grandma's food.
Yeah.
And because I remember being a kid, and when our parents, like, when they brought me and my brother from Mexico here, like when we migrated, my mom used to be, she used to work at a computer shop back in Mexico. So she didn't spend time in the kitchen, like very little, you know. She was like one of the breadwinners of the house. So as she had a lot of older brothers, but my grandpa had stopped working. I think maybe he had already passed. I'm not sure. So she was like one of the ones that was bringing in money into the house. So she wasn't necessarily cooking. So my grandma would cook. And so when my mom and dad moved to the United States, I remember being a little kid, like, what, 5, 6, 7 years old or something. And I'd see her like on the phone, and she'd be next to the stove because, you know, she didn't know English, so it's not like she could continue her career from Mexico here, so she had to do something different. And I remember her on the phone talking to my grandma. My grandma would tell her exactly what to put in all these dishes. Mm-hmm. And she would learn how to make mole. She learned how to make pozole, tamales, you name it, all these things over the phone so that she could make food for us and my dad.
Yeah.
And, like, I keep telling her, I'm like, you need to write all this stuff down for me. Because these are my grandma's recipes. Yeah. And a lot of our families are like that. You know, we recognize these dishes as our moms, but in reality, who knows how many generations these particular recipes go back. Right. Because they learned it from somebody. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, and then a lot of the ingredients, right, you can't even find, some of them you can't find here, right? So you got to substitute, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the most proudest moments I had of myself was my mom died in May of 22. And so, about that. Thank you. And so January came around that year, and I have some really special friends, and we're celebrating their birthday party at the restaurant, and they're like, usually people tell me what they want. They're like, no, it's a free-for-all. Do whatever you want. So I made pozole. Mm. And now my mom had never, like I said, my mom didn't share the recipe. I didn't know how. All I knew was how it tasted when she made it. So I did a little research, right? Looked up some of the key ingredients that you use. And I made pozole based on a memory, right? So that is a big thing about memory, right? Like, I remembered exactly the way it should taste, and I did it blindly. So I bought all the ingredients. I did a little bit different because I smoked the pork a little bit, and I was like, I'm gonna honor my mom's pozole with my touch, right? And I served everybody, and I went to go serve myself. And I took that first spoonful, and I fucking cried. Wow. And I just looked up, and I was like, and my wife's like, your mom would be proud of you. She's like, I think this is better than your mom's. And it was like, and I gave some to my dad, and my dad's like, ah, cabrón. and that was like my proudest moment. And from that moment on is really when I realized, okay, it was like,
you should have taken advantage of that moment. You should have told that, hey, Dad, I got into MIT. I need some room and board.
Right, and so from that moment on, I decided, okay, I have to bring forward Mexican cuisine, right, and let's elevate it, right, like let's take what we're used to, but put it on a platform that more people will be open to it, and not cheapen it, right? So when you come to my restaurant, there's one thing, we get a lot of complaints that people say, oh, well, you're a little steep. But we're doing quality ingredients. Like, I can tell you for a fact, right? All our beef, pork, chicken is all grass-fed, grass-finished, right? Like, if I'm not willing to eat it, we don't sell it, you know. So, and we take a lot of pride. We call it our hot beach. It's our take on a Nashville hot chicken sandwich, right? But we're not like everybody else. Everywhere else, you're getting a Nashville seasoning, they're throwing it into, right? We use chile morita, chile de árbol. We brought in all Mexican peppers.
Damn.
We're grinding in house these Mexican chiles, and we're dredging our chicken into that, right? And so we're like completely different from everybody else because we really try to highlight all the sexy things about our Mexican cuisine, man. Like the chiles, bro. The chiles blow my world. How many different kinds of chiles there are, right?
Bro.
You look at mole, right? Like the mole that we do from scratch, it's a 53 ingredient mole,
Wow.
right? And it takes literally 10 days to make from start to finish. The process is 10 days. And people were like, well, I just want to pay $5 for, or $5 is too much for a chicken mole taco. I was like, you don't gotta do it, motherfucker. But if you took all the time, right? Like if you took all that time to cultivate it, to make it, start from scratch, I was like, would you want $5 for your taco that you spent 10 days on making this mole and stuff like that, right? So, it's all a teaching moment, right? And
Yeah.
so like teaching people that we're so much more than what you think we are.
Mm-hmm.
We're everywhere I go, people always say Mexicans are the hardest working motherfuckers there are, right? But it goes further than that, right? It goes into everything that we do, everything that our culture represents. One of my biggest fears when I started becoming a little bit successful, or what stopped me in the beginning from going full, like 100, going at 100 for after this restaurant. Man, I was afraid of being successful.
And why is that?
I think that the responsibility that comes with being successful, right? Like having a business, now you're responsible for people that come work for you. You're responsible for their payroll. You're responsible for their check. Ordering,
Now you're working 3 times as hard now.
Working 3 times as hard. Like
Yeah.
everybody says, oh, open up a business is the best thing that will ever happen to you. Bullshit. Like, and talk about working hard, man. I've never worked harder in my life than these past 4 years, having this restaurant. But it is definitely rewarding. But I always feel like, right, as human beings, I take young entrepreneurs under my wing a lot of times, and I always say, as Latinos and as humans, we fail all the time. We fail every single day. Every single day, from the minute we wake up, we start failing, right? Whether we, with me, with my kids, whether I didn't spend enough time with them, whether with my wife, whether I didn't spend enough time with her, or I fucked up on something, right? We always fall short of that perfection, right? That doesn't exist. Perfection does not exist. So we're used to failing. However, success is completely different. Like, you mean now I'm responsible for all these people? Now you mean tell me that if I say the wrong thing, it could be, misconstrued and spit back at me in a different way, right? And then I had to realize real quick that I had to throw away everything that I was ever told about business and life, right? I had family members who had successful businesses, and I remember when I was trying to get started, asking them, "Hey, can I be a fly on your wall? I just want to learn." Man, I'm talking about people who have successful Mexican restaurants. I remember my padrino told me, "Fuck you, figure it out on your own." I did. And I'm like, no, you didn't. Your parents did. I was like, I'm just trying to. But
So he wouldn't help
No.
you pass upon. He wouldn't pass upon that knowledge that he.
None.
Wow.
None. And we run into that in our culture all the time. We're like crabs in a bucket, right? Like 2 crabs in a bucket, right? Like as soon as one of them is about to get out and make it, ven pa acá, cabrón.
It's like George Lopez says, Mexicans are never happy for other Mexicans.
Oh, yeah, no.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm a hater, bro. I hate
Oh,
everyone.
I know you do. You fucking hate all day, bro.
Yeah, man. But yeah, it was a lot of that. A lot of, like, nobody would show me the way. Nobody would tell me. So I had to learn a
That's
lot of.
fucked up because it's always usually family too that does it, right?
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
You'll
Yeah.
get more help from like friends,
Strangers.
strangers
Yeah.
than you will sometimes your own family. It's
Yeah.
crazy like that.
Yeah, it is. And that's why I always say, like, you can't choose the family you come from, but you sure as fucking choose the family that you create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who you let into your circle. That's the other thing, right? It's like, I remember when I was first getting started, oh, everybody's my best friend. This guy's gonna have his own restaurant, So I got all these people around me. But the more successful I become and the more I grow my business, the smaller that circle has gotten.
Mm-hmm.
Like that circle, like if I have five, I think I have 5 people in that smaller circle. That and those that I thought were gonna be my ride or dies, man, I haven't heard from them in years. Like,
well,
I can relate, yeah.
Just like with the podcast. I mean,
I was just gonna
we got the
use that
podcast. You know what's crazy is that, dude, I think like all my family, they don't watch the podcast, but I got all friends that be, oh man, I saw your podcast, I saw this,
Yeah.
So it's like my family won't watch it and support it, but my friends will, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was gonna use the podcast as the exact same example, man. Like the very first 5 to 10 episodes, we're going on episode like I think 57 right now.
Yeah, we're almost like on 60 episodes, man. Yeah.
We have enough episodes right now that will air through to probably like 60, 65.
Okay.
But we're like on top 50s right now, right? In the very beginning, I was asking for like feedback from different people. Like, hey man, what you guys think? This and that. I was getting some bunk ass answers that clearly came from somebody that did not listen to the episode because they couldn't give me examples of what our content was.
Okay.
They were giving me these generic ass answers. And I go, that is interesting. But I was getting genuine feedback from people I wasn't expecting. And I was like, oh, that's kind of crazy. Like, mind you, don't get me wrong. There are family members of mine. There are really, really close friends of mine that listen to the show on a regular basis. I laugh because, for example, we went into song earlier with the Miss Jackson thing. Danny loves going into song in pretty much every episode.
Every song, bro, every song.
He always cracks a random song. Today, I get a screenshot on my group chat from my cousin, and he's all like, this is what the podcast makes me do. And he was listening to the song that we had literally just sang on the fucking episode. Yeah. So I know he is listening to it. I know he enjoys it, which is awesome. It means the entire world to me that I'm actually getting through and he's loving it. I have friends of mine that are doing that. They're like, oh, they send me messages. But some of like my closest friends that I would imagine would support, they're not. Yeah. And that's just the craziest thing. Is like, you're right. You're 100% right. Your circle is very, very small.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And that's crazy. Like I said, and it mainly comes with like Latinos, man. I don't know why.
Yeah, it definitely does. Man.
Yeah.
It's like, and they're the first ones to hate. They're the first ones to
hand out too.
Oh, hand out too. Yeah, I know. I get that all the time. Like,
they probably all want free shit.
Yes, like family. I'm not gonna say any names because I love you. But the best way you can support your friends or family's business is by going there and not asking for a fucking discount. Leave it up to me if I want to bring extra food to your table, or if I want to run up front and tell the girl that's ringing you up, hey, take this off their bill, whatever, right? But that should be the option for the people that you're supporting, not you. Oh, I'm going to go to my boy's place because I want to get the hookup, right? Or I'm going to get a discount. Man, I've lost really good friends because they would bitch, like,
oh, hey, they bring the bill and like, hey, bro, what's up with the hookup, bro? I thought
I thought we were friends.
Bro. I would go in there to buy Egon's ears, when I was in there. And every so often, he'd be like, don't worry about it. Just take it. And I was like, I just got fucking free ears, bro. Look at that. That did not mean that the very next time I was walking in there, I was expecting free ears.
But
it's crazy,
Yeah, unfortunately, that becomes the expectation, right? Is that you hook them up once, fuck, I'm always gonna go in the hookup, and then they bring more fucking people, and they're like,
hey, bro, I brought 10 guys. I brought 10 of my boys, bro. Ain't you gonna fucking hook us up?
Yeah,
but my family just came from Mexico. Coyote just dropped them off. I brought them here, bro. 20 motherfuckers out there.
Yeah, but it's crazy, man. It's like there should be the number one people supporting you, but no, it's al revés,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw that WGN News did a spotlight episode on your restaurant, and you cooked some really, really amazing hunks of meat for them. Walk me through what happened there. That's got to be a validation of your hard work there.
We had Annabella Val come out in the morning, bro. Man. She's on. What you see is what you get, bro. She's on 10. I remember she comes in right 7 o'clock in the morning. She's got a Starbucks and a Dunkin' Donuts, and she's like, Juan, el café, ¿dónde está el café? And I'm like, you got two. She's like, no, I need coffee. And I was like, oh, okay. So, so we do these barbecue classes.
Yeah.
We do them about once a month. So somebody, you could be a novice or you could be more accelerated, but basically we walk you through everything on how to smoke your meat, how to get that, really good brisket or pork and all those different things. Yeah. And so she came out, and then they did the Annabelle around town. But it was a thing, man. Like 7 o'clock in the morning, and we're like eating brisket, But
You're like, where's the chilaquiles?
yeah, no, but it was super cool, man. We've been on like 3 different TV shows now, but it's always a humbling experience, right? Because it's always like, wow, these people want to see what we do, right? And so it's like, man, it's like you feel like, oh, I made it, right? But yes, it came out. They showcased the class that we do, and so the classes have really been taking off. So we got another class coming up, actually November 3rd, for I'm going to teach you how to smoke your prime rib and turkey, so you're that hero at your holiday party this year.
Damn.
So
shit.
Yeah. So the really cool thing about our classes is hands on. We show you everything. Every team.
The Latino you just came out, bro.
Yeah. Don't you hate that? Like when you can't say, like, I remember I couldn't say chair for the longest time. I would say share.
Bro, if you went to MIT, you could have said it, bro.
I know. You hear that, Dad? You hear that? It's all your fault.
I always get made fun for a couple of words. And I always think I pronounce all my words, relatively okay. But there's a few words that I like mention, and my buddies are like, specific is always one of them. I can't remember. There's a couple of them that I mentioned they're always weird. But I think Latinos, we can't ever get away 100%.
No.
There's always something that's gonna pop.
No, we gotta hold on to something. Right?
Hold on, right? Yeah, keep some bit of our culture with us, bro.
Yeah.
So then you open up your restaurant. What year was it?
We opened up our restaurant in June of 2020, June 3rd of 2020. So right in the middle of COVID, bro. In the middle of COVID, yeah. So we were actually supposed to have opened up our restaurant in 2019, but we had some paisas doing our build out of the restaurant, and we didn't really know what they were doing.
Cutting some corners.
Cutting a fuck ton of corners.
That was not a corner, bro. The whole wall.
The whole fucking wall. So if you ever walk into my restaurant, right, like you ever walk into my restaurant and you look out the windows, I promise you the windows were made correctly. However, it's not, you haven't been drinking that much. They're just crooked.
Juan, you want us to use nails on this, bro?
It's fucked up when the contractor is asking you, hey, what's code?
Wow.
What can we get away with here?
Yeah, what's code? What's supposed to be here? I was like, oh shit, we're in trouble. But I didn't pay for the, gratefully our landlord covered all that. So but she did the best with what she had available to her, and that was.
I've never noticed. I've walked into that restaurant numerous times, so I can tell you that I don't think it's that.
Yeah. So if you come to Beach Ave BBQ, don't judge us on the build out, and don't judge us on the whether the lines are square or not.
Judge on the food.
Just the food. Just the food. That's the only thing we're responsible for.
Now, Juan, there was something that just happened to your life that you were, we've been having a lot of fun, and I know you asked me to be part of the podcast, and I kind of had a feeling that you wanted to talk about something very particular, obviously something very close to you. I ran into you at a beer festival. I haven't seen you on a regular basis in quite a while. I would see you pretty much every week before, but then I didn't see you for a while, and I went over there and I said hello to you, and you asked me, he's like, hey man, how do I get on your podcast? And I said, you want to be on my podcast? It's done. Let's pick a date. I kind of had a feeling that there was a particular subject that you wanted to talk about, and I feel that maybe is best left up to you. Can you walk us through? There was some life-changing news that came your way.
Yeah, man. Shit.
We don't have to talk about it.
No. It's. I'm an open book, man. It's the way I look at life, right? Like I can't help you. I can't do what God has called me to do if I'm not willing to talk about it, right? And so, uh, I got diagnosed. So I got diagnosed last August, August of 20, or 24, yeah, August of 23. Um, I get diagnosed with stage 3 lymphoma, Hodgkin's lymphoma. Uh, Now, I am start with saying that I am a 5-time cancer survivor.
So you've beaten this before.
I've beaten other forms of cancer before, and I've beaten the unbeatable, which is pancreatic cancer. I beat that in 2014. But I've been battling cancer on and off now for 11 years, right?
I got a cousin right now that's battling pancreatic cancer, and yeah, he's dealing with a tough road right now.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
Shout out my cousin Rick, man.
Yeah,
Stay strong.
yeah, man. Yeah, it is nothing in life prepares you for that news. Even if you've been down that road, like me, for example, right? I've been down that road, right? I remember when I got June. It was I wonder if it was me and my wife's one of our anniversaries, right? So we get diagnosed June 23rd of 13 with pancreatic cancer, stage 3. And we had just lost my mother-in-law not too long ago, at that time to pancreatic cancer. And nothing prepares you for that, man. You make a bucket list. Me and my wife, we made a bucket list, all these things that we wanted to accomplish, things we wanted to do, memories we wanted to create, all this stuff, right? And luckily for me, I at the time I had a great team of doctors, and we went all natural, and we beat the pancreatic cancer. But it was always short lived. Like I would be in remission or something like that, or some form of remission for like 6 months to a year, and then it would come back because all this poison that they put into our bodies, whether it's the chemo or the radiation. It creates secondary, cancer forms and things like that. So fast forward to August of last year, and I get diagnosed with stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma. And all we know is what our doctors tell us, right? I mean, we don't. I mean, nowadays, thank God to like TikTok and social media. Now we're being told different than the norm, and so. I didn't know any. We were told what our options were. So we go in and I do chemo and radiation, and I do it for 2 weeks. I'm doing chemo 5 times a week and radiation as well. And 3 weeks after I started chemo. I did chemo for 2 weeks. On the 3rd week, I became bedridden. I couldn't get out of bed. Couldn't eat. My stomach became what they call, I had paralysis of the stomach, so I couldn't eat. I had a really bad reaction to the chemo and the radiation, and it almost killed me. And it was bad, man. It was like I couldn't get out of bed. I'm writing out my last wishes. I'm telling my wife, this is what I want done. I'm preparing for death, man. It got to that point. I got past it. Somehow got past it. Lost about 40 pounds in that time. But then when I got past it, I was like, well, if the radiation and the chemo is doing this to me, I was like, it's gonna kill me. It's gonna kill me probably faster than the cancer will, right? So, me and my wife, we sought holistic treatment. So I started doing the holistic route for that, and it was getting better.
What's the holistic treatment?
So we did like all natural homeopathic. So I cut out all sugar, cut out all those things, and then I was seeing like an herbalist and a naturalista, right? And so they would give me like I had to consume, I would eat one guanabana a day, and all these different teas and things like that, and it was working. But then the cancer really spread, and I got diagnosed with earlier this year. I got diagnosed stage 4, so full on. I was given an expiration date, Yeah.
Fuck, I'm so sorry about that, man.
And it yeah, the lymphoma spread. It was spread through my lymph nodes to all my body. So it's mainly concentrated around my lungs. It started up here in the upper neck area. It spread through my lymph nodes, around my lungs, around my hips, my knees, and my ankles. And so it got really difficult, man. And the pain. And so and now and then earlier this year, I would say, I think it was like around May-ish, around that time, June. They've discovered a mass in my back, about half the size of a baseball on my lower left side. So I have that mass, and now it's spread again, and it's spread into, they call it shit, I'm fucking this. I'm gonna do a Mexican version here.
Esophagus?
Yes, there you go. There, esophagus. It's in the lower part of my esophagus. Lower part of my esophagus, in the basically where the esophagus comes into the stomach. I have a small 1 inch by 1 inch cancer block there of cancer cells. And then I had like 5 other masses on my back. So I've done targeted chemo and radiation, and that has shrunk that. And luckily, I got into Mayo Clinic up in Rochester, Minnesota. So I've been going up there, and that's like the state of the art hospital, man. If they can't fix you up there, like they say, you can't fix you anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. So I've been up there. I just did 2 rounds up there, and so it's getting better somewhat, man. But it is it is still, like, I always tell people, like, people always ask me, how am I doing? And the best answer I can come up with, and the best answer I can say, man, is one day at a time. Because I have days where I'll be golden, I'll be good. I'll still experience pain, but it's manageable, it's tolerable. And then I'll have days, man, where it's a roller coaster, man. Like I could be way up here, wake up and be way up here, and then my train of thought takes me way the fuck down there somewhere, and I don't know how to get back out of it, right? And a lot of times, like, people are asking me, like, how do you feel? And it's not that we don't want to talk about it, and I'm speaking probably for all cancer patients now, right? It's not that we don't want to talk about it. It's not that we don't want to tell you how we feel, but we're thinking about that shit all the fucking time.
So why verbalize it? Yeah.
Why verbalize it? Why do you need to hear from me how bad it hurts, when the last thing that I want to do is think about it?
Think about it, right?
And so I think for a lot of cancer patients, or just patients of any illness, right, or of any, like, bad illness, is we want you to be there for us, but we don't want you asking every day, you know, is it better today? Is it better today, right? Or why aren't you telling me that you're in pain?
So what can you do?
I was like, well, yeah. What are you gonna do that I can't do for myself, right?
Yeah.
Right. You know, and so, you know, I started smoking weed, right? And so it's like I started smoking a lot of weed, you know.
Like, I like how you go. I started smoking. All right, I started smoking a lot of weed.
Right? Yeah, but it takes the nausea away, right? I could either smoke weed and do edibles, and I do more edibles than I smoke weed, right? But I could either do that or get hooked on the painkillers, man. Yeah. And those painkillers, they feel good, man. I know how people. I can see why people get hooked.
To them, yeah.
Get addicted to them, man. It's like, oh, you mean I could just press this little button here, and I'll be like zoned out? Yeah, but it's like I want to be present, man. That's the other thing. Is like, you know, now that you know, and so I remember the doctors telling me, I'm sorry, man.
No, bro. Go ahead. Take your time.
I remember the doctor telling me, you got 6 months till you're in hospice, till you can't.
How long ago was this?
This was like in late July, man. So 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 I'm like counting, and I remember, bro, like the craziest thing, right? Is like I remember sitting in that office, right, and being told this is your time frame, right? This is what. And I remember saying, and I remember telling my wife and telling people I love, it's like it's okay. I'm at peace with it. I'm at peace with myself. Bullshit. The closer you get to that fucking time, the more time goes by and it gets closer and closer, man, fear kicks in, right? And then you're like, fuck. Like, you start remembering all the things that you haven't accomplished. You start thinking about all the wasted time that you've done, that you've had. Like, I could have fucking done that shit yesterday. But because I was like, no, I'll do it tomorrow, do it tomorrow. Then you realize, fuck, my tomorrow is not promised. It's not promised to any of us. But specifically to me, I have less time than you. Like, at least, like, right, based on what I've been told, right, I have less time. So now I try to make the best of every single moment that I have. And whether it be with my wife, my son, my daughter, friends, right? And I try not to leave things for tomorrow, but I'm fucking Mexican, and that's what we do.
We're procrastinating.
We're procrastinators, man. And so I try to live life to the fullest, and more than anything, I try to tell people how I feel, because I think that a lot of times, especially as men, right, like we don't tell
our feelings.
We don't share our feelings because that's not a manly thing to do, right?
Especially Latinos, they got the machismo,
especially Latinos, man. But it's what if you don't wake up tomorrow? What if you never got to tell your son or your daughter, your mom, your dad, whatever, right, how you feel, and you fucking die tomorrow, and then okay, you die, right? Maybe you never got to tell them how you feel, but you never gave that person the opportunity to tell you how they feel, what you mean to them, what maybe you didn't do. You didn't realize that you offended them in some type of way, right? But we don't talk. It just goes, especially like I see it like, right, like even my brothers and stuff, all this animosity and stuff that we have amongst one another, right? And we never taking the time to really like put the cards on the table that way. This is how I feel because you did this, and maybe this is what I did to you, but we never talk about it. So it's like all that shit just se muere.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have all this
questions.
All these questions, all this shit all this trauma and shit. Now they gotta go pay a fucking counselor and a social worker, and more than likely, because we're Latinos, we don't fucking do that shit.
Yeah,
so
Latinos don't do that shit.
So we're gonna go fucking drink at the bar and do all that stuff, right?
Taking shots and shit.
Taking shots and
wait till you're all pedo, then you used to let out the feelings and shit.
You put on some Chente or some Ramon Ayala, and then the feelings come out.
That's it, bro. That's yeah, man. You ain't lying about that, man.
Yeah, man.
But one thing I've noticed about you today, man, you're a very positive person.
You have to be.
You stay very positive.
You were like since I met you. This isn't just something new. I don't think you being diagnosed affected your positivity to make it higher. It probably did. You probably feel it. You probably give it out. But Danny's correct. Since I've met you, I don't think I've ever had a single day since I've known you that I've ever seen you upset.
Que me gano.
That's true. It's true.
What
do you get out of it?
What do you get out of it?
Yeah.
So you might get pissed off in the moment, right? Or you might react in the moment, but it doesn't fucking fix shit, right? So there's been moments where I lose it with my staff, and I'm like, fuck, right? But it's like stressing, worrying, all that, it don't fix nothing, right? So, those are some of my most candid conversations with God. It's like, you know, because a lot of times, like, you know, I pray for patience. Man, it's like true that you got to be careful what you pray for. Because, man, I remember I pray for patience, or I pray for God to show me how to love better. Man, he sends me some difficult people to come work for me, man. And I'm like,
This is not what I asked for.
this is not what I. God, are you listening? Knock, knock. Are you up there? Hey, this is not what I had in mind. But it's not what. It's never what we have in mind, right? It's always, you know, for everybody that you know is listening out there, right? It's like God has taken me through so many different obstacles and opportunities in my lifetime, right? And there is an absolute lesson to be learned in every single lesson that he hands out, right? Like whatever it is that we go through, right? It's up to us to decide how are you gonna look at it, right? What lens are you gonna put on to look at your day, your daily life, right? And how do you come at it, right? Do you come at it with anger? Because if you come at it with anger and a closed mind, right, like you'll never see what you're supposed to see.
Yeah.
Right. And so like and that's why in the beginning I said, you know, God's favor has always been over my life. You know, from the minute I grew up Catholic, right? You know, I remember my mom gave her life to the Lord in an elevator while going to see me at the Audi home. Right. And then we became Christian, right? And then I remember I made my mom a promise that when I came home on the first night, I would go with her to church. That was an ordeal in itself, right? Like trying to go into a Christian church and for the first time ever, and they said I was swinging at the preacher and all kinds of stuff, right? And well, there's all this spiritual stuff that happens in the background and things like that, right? I'm not going to get into it right now, but like God has always looked out for me, right? The way my restaurant came to be, you know, like real quick, right? I told you guys about Pastor Victor and him introducing me into prayer and receiving a gift from God, being able to cook, you know, but also the way the restaurant came to be, right? There was a post on Facebook one day, and if you walk into my restaurant right now, it's pretty bright in there. There's a lot of a lot of natural light that comes in. However, when we first walked in there, man, there had been a fire in there at some point. It was all boarded up. It only had 2 windows, and they were glass block windows, right? And there was a post on Facebook one day, and it said, "What kind of business would you put here?" And I said, "A barbecue joint." What did I talk to? Meet the landlord there, and they're like, and I walk in, man. I was like, man, bro, it was rough. It was like
a dungeon.
It was a dungeon, bro. It was mold in there. There had been a fire. There was water everywhere. And he's like, I was like, "Are you willing to help me out in any way?" He's like, "Yeah, we love your food and what you stand for." I started, and during that meantime, when I started my business from the back of my house, I started a ministry where I was feeding the homeless. And so, you know, we were doing that. And he's like, "We love your food and what you stand for. We're going to build it for you." Now, mind you, me and my wife have been praying for God's will for our lives in November of 18. And then I meet this guy. I signed my lease on 3/16, so March 16 at 3:16 p.m. And I was like, "Who do I make the check out to?" And then my landlord was like, "The name of my corporation." I was like, "I don't know what that is." And she's like, "God's Will LLC." And I started crying, man. She's like, "Why are you crying?" I was like, me and my wife have been praying for God's will for our lives for 90 days straight. You hold a ticket to my dreams.
That's the name of it.
Wow.
That's the name of a corporation, right?
Wow.
And so, you know, I was like, "You hold the ticket to my dreams, right? And you're gonna build out this restaurant for me, and the rent is super low, and it's God's Will LLC." I was like, "Man, you can't make that up, man. You just can't make that up, you know." And it's just like, and that's why I say God's favor has been over my life. And then I get the people ask me like, "Well, if God's is real, why are you going through what you're going through, right?" And my response is always, "There's a lesson in this, and it might take me out. Who knows, right? That's not that's not. It's not promised to me, right? It's not that if I give my life to God, that everything in my life will be easier. That's not the way it works. However, because I have given my life to God, He walks with me, and it makes it a little easier. Doesn't go away, doesn't fix everything, none of that. but it just allows my life to be easier. So when you say the positivity, that's only God, bro. That's not me. Because if I lean on my own understanding, that's not me. I'm not that kind of guy. Man, that's how I was able to gangbang for so many years, right? But it's God's favor on my life is, and God always being with me, is what is that's the positivity that you see in me. That's God. It's not. It's nobody else but God, And so that's I always say God has done a lot for me. Continues to do for me. Continues to put people like the both of you in my life, right? Like to have the opportunity to be here today, and to do this podcast and things like that. But yeah, man, I'm so right now, going to mail, doing all that, it's scary. One of the scariest things that I've done, writing and making videos for my kids and my grandkids that I don't have yet. I remember for many nights I stayed up all night, typing up letters for my loved ones, my wife, my kids, but making videos for my kids and my grandkids that I don't have yet, that was hard, man. Like really telling my son and my daughter on video and trying not to cry how much I love them, how much they mean to me. I always say, even though my daughter is not biologically mine, she's my first love, man. She's my true first love. I fought for that little girl to call me papi, to call me dad, And so she taught me how to love. I don't know if you guys have kids or not, but
I got 2 daughters. Yeah.
My little one.
So think about it, right? If you were gonna be gone tomorrow, if you at least if you knew, right, that there's a possibility, like I have, right, of me not making it past, what they say, this year or whatever. How do I tell my kids everything that I want to tell them? The best way I could have done it was literally recording myself at night and just tell them everything that they mean to me and what I want from them and what I hope that they accomplish in life. I had to. It's like I owed it to them. I wish I poured into them in the way that nobody has ever poured into me. It goes back to like what we said, being Latino and you don't talk about your feelings. You don't talk about what your best wishes for your kids, because our parents were too busy trying to put food on the table. Yeah. It's not because they didn't want to. I'm sure they all want to, just don't know how. Mm-hmm. But it's up to us to change that, right? Like, and to be able to, for you with your daughters, right? To build that, to the relationship that we have with our kids, that it's up to us. It's not up to anybody else. It's not. You can't leave it up to the school system. Can't leave it up to your wives. Nothing. You have to build that. Yeah. You have to create that. Mm-hmm. Give them that space. But yeah. So it's like, if you see me walking down the street or whatever, and hopefully, God willing, I'm still around and all that stuff. Just know that. Life is what we make it, man. Life is, you get out of life what you put into it, and everybody can say, well, I was dealt a fucking shitty hand. Guess what, man? You have the opportunity to fucking shuffle those cards up and draw yourself another hand. Mm-hmm. That is the beautiful thing about life. You can fucking say, fuck that, I don't want these cards. Let me deal myself another set of cards. And you get to make life, and you get to wake up, and you get to pour into your world what you want. You can't blame you. I always tell, I have a lot of young kids that work for me. I always say, you can blame your parents all the way up to your fucking 18th birthday. Past your 18th birthday, ya se acabó, cabrón.
It's on you.
That's on you. It's on you, motherfucker. You fucking figure it out. You know, and I'll walk alongside you. I'll fucking hold your hand, but only to a certain point. At some point, you gotta fucking take ownership, and you gotta do what you gotta do.
What you just described, I've seen videos of people do, like doing the videos. You know, I think there's movies that have used that. You know, like where they've shown somebody going through a troubling time in their life and kind of like saying, "Hey, I'm gonna do these videos for my kids so that they can see me." I just ended up my neighbor. He just lost his wife, and his kid is 3 years old, and it was sudden. Like literally, the morning everything was great. The afternoon it was not, and she didn't get a chance to say goodbye. You know, it's really weird that, like you mentioned, like you're not promised tomorrow. It is both sad to hear those words coming from you, but it is insane that I literally have a smile on my face that you are getting to go out and do these things on your terms, and be almost putting yourself to putting that at rest, that you know that you did these things where other people do not get that opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And man, dude, I come into this episode, I knew we were gonna talk about this, and I kept telling Danny, and I told my wife that I did not know how to prep for this. This has been one of the most interesting episodes we've had, and I just want to say thank you, man, for sharing your story, sharing your passion, because at the end of the day, that's literally what it is, man. I'm very, very happy that you've come on the show and you've done this. It took a lot of strength, and I don't know a whole lot of people that could have done it, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are the textbook of what a true, strong, brave, powerful Latino is, man. You really are.
Wow.
Like I had a lump in my throat when you were talking about those videos, man. Like yeah, man. I just think about my little girls, man.
Yeah. You have daughters too, or you
I
have
have one little boy.
one little boy? Okay.
Yeah.
If I can, man, real quick, one of the biggest things, and I tell dads all the time, man, when your daughters become of age where they're starting to show interest in boys, right? I did this with my daughter, and she could attest to this, right? I took her, I made so dads out there, right? Picture this scenario, right? So I make reservations at the time. What I thought was like a nice Italian restaurant, right? So it's called Rosebuds on Taylor Street.
Rosebuds.
on Taylor Street, right? I buy her a dress. That's what it is. Bought her a dress, pick her up, flowers, all that. Go to our dinner reservation. Pull the chair for her, everything. Rose petals on the table, everything. I got a purity ring. And I told her how important it was for her to hold on to her virginity, right? And what it meant and all those things. And I asked her if she would do me the honor of holding on to it until she was 18. I was like, I'm not asking you to, I was like, I would love you to wait till marriage, but that's not realistic. So let's go for this goal, right? And she was 11 years old at the time. And I took her out. We did all that, did the whole date thing, put the ring on her, all that. I dropped her off. When I dropped her off, I walked her to the door, gave her a kiss on the cheek, and I acted like I left, right? I came back later. And bro, she kept her promise, bro. She because it meant so much to her that I took the time, the opportunity to treat her like a queen. And I said, the guy that you give it to should treat you like this or better. So so we did that. And another thing that I did with my kids was I created the opportunity for them to come talk to me if they were ever going through something. And if they didn't need me to be dad, for me, I'd be like, then preface by telling me, hey, Dad, I love you, but I need you to just listen to me. I need you to be here as my friend. And I told him, I was like, I might fucking jet and come back in a few minutes. But I promise you, I will not
Go
be
take
mad
a
at
shot, and I'll be back.
you. I remember the first time my daughter's like, Dad, she's like, I really need to talk to you about something. I was like, fuck. So I left her room. I went out to the garage and I broke a wall. and I came back, right? But when I came back, I kept my promise, bro. And trust me, my blood was boiling. Like I wanted like fucking pound somebody's head, but I created the opportunity and I didn't break her trust. Right, so I created the opportunity for her to trust me, gave her some advice, and never brought it back up. And then every time she was going through something, she always made it a point to come and talk to me. Right, we got to be we got to be the loudest voice in our kid's head.
You're right about that. You're right about that.
So if we don't create that opportunity as dads for our kids to come talk to us, then we're opening that door for some other motherfucker to be the loudest voice in their head, and they don't have the best interest for them. As dads, we gotta have the best interest, but as having the best interest, we gotta create those opportunities for our kids to be able to come talk to us and share their feelings and share the things that our dads would be like, ya cállate, cabrón,
Right,
or pendejo, ¿quién te dijo que sientas algo?
Right. We're the ones that got to break that cycle.
Yeah,
man.
we got to break that cycle, right?
Yeah.
But it starts with us.
And you're 100% right on that, bro. Because that's the way I am with my daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that, man. And I love what you did with her.
Yeah.
Taking her out to dinner and all that, man. Treating her like a queen and telling her,
Gotta
I love
be,
that, man.
Gotta be.
Yes,
Gotta be.
I'm going to take that, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, man. I just, like Javier said, thank you, bro. Thank you so much for coming here tonight.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me,
sharing
man.
your story, man. I mean, we hope you had a good time here with us.
It was a great time. It's my first podcast, so you busted my cherry.
There you go.
Bro, the moment you asked me, I had the biggest smile on my face. I knew we were going to go through some rough stuff, but I'm like, this is going to be awesome. I'm like, I want to make this a very fun experience for you. I want to make this an experience that hopefully you'll be happy to share with people going forward. To hear your story.
Here, let me do this.
Danny is setting out some shots right now. We normally finish off the episodes by
That's good.
our typical cheers. Where we always say "Salud, cabrones" with our beer. But this episode just doesn't feel like that's gonna do it justice.
You need tequila.
Yeah. We need tequila.
No, bro. Like we said, thank you so much again, man. We appreciate you. I'm praying for you for strength and love and support through this difficult time, man. And I mean, before we head up out of here, any last things you want to say?
From the bottom of my heart, don't let time rob you of what you're supposed to do. Don't leave for tomorrow what you can do today. And tell people that you love how much you love them. Hug them. Kiss them. I promise you it doesn't make you a weaker person. I promise you it makes you a better person. And allow God to live in your heart. That's the best advice I can give you, man. Allow God to live in your life, man. And just really, really, I hope that when that day comes for me to go, that I won't have any regrets. That I've told everybody how much I love them. That I gave back to the world everything that I was supposed to give and then some. If you make it to my restaurant, I encourage you to do so. Know that all my staff, 95% of my staff is 21 and under. Why is that? Because I remember when I was trying to stop gangbanging, nobody would give me a chance. Because I had no experience. But how you're supposed to get experience, nobody else will ever give you a shot. So they're all young people. So give them a little bit of grace. This is not really about Beach Avenue BBQ, but it is a part of me. So come give me a shot. Come give them a shot. And thank you for having me. Thank you for really having me on here. Thank you for the love and support. Thank you for busting my cherry on this podcast. Yeah, man, that is pretty much it, man. Just take a look, take a quick inventory of your life, right? And are you living your best life? And if you're not, why not? And find out what you got to do so that you are living your best life with no regrets. That's it.
I got one question for you. I always like throw out like a little weird wrench at the end. You've lived a very colorful life with your past and everything, and you know you went around a full circle, and you, as they say, they made an honest man of yourself, right?
Yeah.
So in your colorful life that you've lived, tell me one of your most favorite memories that you cherish that nobody really knows about.
I guess with the one thing that I think as humans that we don't talk about often is the dark moments,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everybody always says that I'm very positive and things like that, right? But the old me, the wanting out of gangbanging and wanting out of that life that I knew that wasn't really me. And this is not really like a cool thing, right? One of the things that we don't talk about is like suicide and things like that, right?
Mm.
And I remember being 16 years old and thought my life was just completely over. And I look in the mirror and I got a revolver in my hand. I remember saying, God, please forgive me. And I took that, it was a 38 special. And I took a 38 to my head. And I pulled the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking I'm dead, right? I hear the bang, right? And I'm thinking I'm dead. And I open my eyes. And I pull the gun off my temple. And the bullet's right there.
What do you mean it's right
What?
there?
Are you shitting me?
No. The bullet was right there. My mom was still here. She could tell you that I had an indentation of the bullet right there.
So what happened?
You tell me.
Don't know,
Holy fuck.
but I'm still here, you know, and that's just
He spared you, brother. He
yes, he
spared you
did.
so that you can do this. So
Yes,
you
he
can live
did.
your life the way you did.
Yes, he has, and so I don't have any other way of telling you how real God is. My life in itself is an example of His greatness, man. And I didn't, man, believe me, I didn't come on here and I was like, I'm not gonna talk about God at all. But I can't talk about me without talking about God.
Yeah.
Because God has had a hand in my life, and every single, man. There's things that I'm not supposed to be here, man. I'm not supposed to be alive, bro. I've been in comas, man. I've been left for dead on the street, bro. I've been tied to railroad tracks, man. They left me on the wrong tracks, man. I've been kidnapped. I've been shot at, bro. I've never been hit. I've had guns jam on them when they're ready to take me out, man. It's just like my life, I'm here by God's grace and God's grace alone, man. And there's a lot of my tattoos are all based around God, man. But and I know that's probably not the answer you were looking for.
You know what? It wasn't, but I'll be fucking damned if that's not the craziest story this goddamn podcast has ever heard.
Yeah. Holy fuck.
Yeah, man. So it's just God has always had his hand on me, man. And so, the doctors say one thing, right? And I know that God's capable of a completely different other outcome, right? But know that I'm looking forward to meeting my God. And I don't mean that as like I'm quitting on life or anything like that. It's just he's been so good to me, man. When it's my time, it's my time. When it's your time, it's your time, right? But like I said, let's just fucking grab life by the fucking horns, man, and fucking do something with it, right? Because man, we all have fucking excuses. I know I have a shit ton.
Yeah.
Right. But I was like, should I go there or not go there? But yeah, I mean, like suicide is real, right? Like we get afraid of life, right? And we take that. For me, we take that coward attempt at
an exit.
At an exit, right? At an exit, but you exit it, right? That person that commits suicide exits, but everybody else is still here.
Yeah.
Having to deal with that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I said,
I
man.
want to say thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah, bro.
Like I said, this podcast has heard some messed up, crazy, inspirational, like a lot of interesting words have been said from a lot of different people on this show. And I don't think by far any episode that we've done has had a story quite like that, man.
I'm not gonna lie. When Javier threw that monkey wrench question, I was like, "Fuck, man! I got 10 seconds left on my camera," and I'm like, and my camera went out. But when he said that, I was like, "Oh shit, okay." That was
the other ones are still rolling.
Yeah. Yep. That means you gotta close it out. No, that is insane. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
he's got his hand on you.
Yeah, but man, if I could do, right, if I could accomplish what I've accomplished, and not to say that I'm the super successful guy, right, but I'm pretty successful. I have to say I'm pretty successful. We have the restaurant, we have 2 food trucks, gonna start another one, all these different things, right? But if I come from nothing, right, I came from nothing, right, I didn't have a fucking pot to piss in, man. Like I came from nothing, right? And I hustled and I did what I had to do, and I've gangbanged and I've been locked up and I have a record, all that shit, right? If I can do it, so can you. So can you.
Damn right about that, man.
That's a good
Thank
way
you.
to.
That's
a
good
good way to go.
Thank you
out,
for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Well, thank you again, bro, for coming and hanging out with us today.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
Normally we cheers with a salud cabrones at the end, but I think today is only right till we say fuck cancer.
Fuck cancer. That's right.
So
that's right.
That's how we will sign off the podcast, man. I mean, we'll just sign off saying, sign off saying, fuck you, cancer.
Yeah.
And with
Eat a dick, cancer.
With the shot of tequila. Thank you again, brother, for coming and hanging out with us tonight.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So thank you all for tuning in with us. Go check out
Beach
Avenue Barbecue.
Yeah,
in Brookfield.
Yeah.
Check it out. Yes. So again, thank you to Mr. Juan for coming hanging out with us, and thank you all for tuning in. And for that, what do we say again, boys? 1, 2, 3.
Fuck cancer.
We out.